Finding a job without any work experience. Just imagine you're a college student living in a large college town and you can't find a job. And say, I just need a part-time job while I'm going to college. What can I find? Regardless of if you have any experience or not, it's actually, generally speaking, not that hard to find a part-time job in a college town. And yes, I know if there is one person looking for a job in a college town, that probably means there are others as well. But it really comes down to, what is your motivation for having a job? Are you trying to have a job so you can develop your skills for your future, so you can have a nice career? Or is it to make money so you can buy things from Walmart? What is the purpose that you are wanting a job? Maybe it's something a little deeper. Maybe you need a job to pay for your college tuition. Let's get into this. Finding a job is never easy, especially when we're in a recession, or should I say a recession-like environment. And I say that because I don't really see anywhere that anybody is saying that we're in a recession, but you could have fooled me. It sure feels like we're in a recession. I mean, people are struggling to find a job. Lots of people are getting laid off. The only jobs that are out there are government jobs. Now, I know that's not all true. I'm being somewhat hyperbolic here. However, this is what 2008 felt like. But it feels worse. It feels more constrained. It feels more desperate. Just drive to a small town and drive through the business areas and you'll see help wanted signs. You'll see for sale signs. You'll see empty buildings that haven't been touched in years. Now I realize that's nothing new for a lot of these small towns. Actually, it's quite common. But in the ones that were thriving only 2 years ago, since COVID, the ones that survived COVID, why are they shutting down? Why are the people who are running those buildings retiring and nobody can take their place? Why is it that a company where the owner makes $200,000 a year after he pays his employees can't find anyone to buy his business? Because we're in a recession. And so you may ask, I am a college student. I'm looking for a part-time job, and I don't really have any experience. What do I have to do? And actually, we have this post on Reddit asking that very thing. Tickling Sugar Cousin asks, how did you get your part-time jobs with barely any experience? This person writes, I'm a college student and have been looking for part-time jobs, mainly on Indeed for jobs in hospitality. I barely have any work experience. So the person is looking for hospitality jobs. If you're looking for a part-time job in hospitality, you definitely, the last thing you want to be doing is looking on Indeed. Now, I know. Indeed is the place to go for jobs, right? That's the only place where jobs exist. But I'm going to tell you a secret, and it's not even a job furno secret. There are other jobs out there. Not all the jobs are on Indeed. The person continues. Sometimes I would get an email saying there was a high volume of applicants and I couldn't be picked for an interview. How should I reduce the competition so I can at least get an interview? I know going to the store or shop can help a lot. I've been doing that sometimes, but I guess it's not much use when they are busy. Would it be okay if I asked them after working hours? The only time I got an interview and even a trial shift by applying in person was a cafe that I just handed my resume to when I saw their sign that they were hiring. I only got called like after months and months. So I'd like to hear stories about how you went about getting them in detail, please. So this person is going about it correctly. The number one thing that you should do is you have to understand when you're dealing with job boards, you're dealing with Indeed, is that only a small portion of jobs actually exist on Indeed and on Monster and on all the other job boards. it's hard to wrap our minds around. We like to think that there's one repository of jobs that exist, and all we have to do is show up and we'll find the holy grail of job opportunities. And we believe it's Indeed, but it's not. And this comes down to not necessarily laziness, but it comes down to what requires the least amount of effort. I remember when I was 25 and I sat in my college dorm room and I said, well, I'm going to graduate in 1 month. I think it's about time I start looking for a job. Honestly, that's what I did. And I sat there and I thought, well, what could I do? What would be the most clever thing I could think of? Now, keep in mind, I'd gone through about 4 years of college. And so going onto a job board seemed quite clever. I thought, it's the least amount of resistance I'll have to do in order to find a job, so that's what I'll do. Like everybody else, I applied for job after job, only to be rejected or just to be ghosted. Of course, this was a time before the phrase ghosted ever existed. But the thing that you have to understand about Indeed and other job boards is, generally speaking, of course there are ways around this, but generally a job board costs an employer about $600 a month to post a job. I'm just going to ask you, as a job seeker, would you pay $600 to post a job on a job board? No, because you don't have $600, most likely. Or if you do, you would say, why the hell are you asking me such a stupid question? And the answer to that is, exactly. Employers spend a lot of money to post jobs on job boards. And a lot of times they're posting them because they're required to by their HR department, by the laws that they're trying to keep. See, they're trying to avoid looking like they're discriminating against somebody that they're planning on hiring. And in other cases, they're simply posting the job so that they can advertise their company. So it appears that they do have jobs to keep the energy up. I'll tell you a story. When I had my first job as a software developer, I was a contractor. I was okay at my job. You know, I had never worked a software developer position before, but I had been there for about 8 months. And one day my manager approached me and said, we want to hire you full time. Now, we're a large corporation. We're a large multinational corporation, and we want to hire you as a full-time employee. But we can't just hire you as a full-time employee, so just hang in there. We'll get to it. Little did I know was they posted the job that I was supposed to have, that I was trying to get. They posted on all the job boards. They posted externally and accepted applications. The next month, I was told by my manager, we've received 2,000 applicants for your job. He said it that way, too. He said, your job. And he continued by telling me, and by the way, we have to interview at least 3 people for this position. Now, keep in mind, that means if 2,000 people applied for my job online through job boards, you multiply that by, I don't know, let's just pretend like it took an hour to apply for that job. That's at least 2,000 hours of people that were completely wasted on a job that they didn't know that they had no chance of getting. To make a long story short, they did interview the other candidates, but in the end, I got the full-time job because I already knew how to do the work. I was already in the door. My point is to you, when you're applying for jobs online, it's not all what it seems. That job that's on Indeed may simply just be a shell job to be a placeholder for a future job. Or you could have a recruiter who is attempting to build their candidate pool so they can fill a future job. But I ask you, what happens if there never is a job? You've just wasted 2 hours, 3 hours, maybe more of your time that you will never get back. And you never know that they completely screwed you out of that time. Now, I understand why recruiters do that. They do that to build their applicant pool, because as soon as an employer says, we need this type of person, you'll say, yes, sir, I've got 5 guys right here. So I get that. But as a job seeker, it's not a lot of fun. In addition, the types of jobs that you will find on Indeed are not going to be part-time jobs. There may be a few, but they're not going to be many. The types of jobs you're going to find on Indeed are going to be full-time positions, ones that pay between $20,000 and $100,000. You're not going to find the high value jobs on Indeed. You're not going to find the low value jobs on Indeed either. So if you say that you're going to spend your time applying for jobs on Indeed, you better make sure that that's only part of your plan. Now, this person does say that they went into the stores and actually handed people their resume, and that's exactly what they needed to do. What they are really wanting to know, what they're really asking is, how do I get the job without doing it through the front door? This person is hoping that somebody will magically snap their fingers and tell them exactly how to network, how to build relationships with people who are at the establishments they're looking at, and how to get a job through their relationships, because that's really what they want to do. What this person is talking about is, how do I network? And there are a lot of components that come down to what this person should be considering. A, first of all, some of it is luck. B, some of it is you may have to work some weird hours, such as overnight or maybe jobs that you had not considered before. I'm sure that the dry cleaning group at a hotel might really need some help. They usually do. The other component is, if you're looking on Indeed, there's a good chance that you're also looking at larger companies. Most jobs that are created for entry-level people in reality are going to be with small businesses. And when the small businesses are gone and there are no more jobs available, then truly our country is going to be screwed. The real answer is just keep trying, and eventually you will get lucky. If you really want to work in hospitality, you need to decide, where do I want to work? Let's just say there are 5 large hotels in your area, and you want to work at one of them. Don't go one time. Each time you go out to look for a job, stop at each of the 5. Walk in, talk to anybody who's there and say, hey, walk in and say, hey, I would like to get a job here. What do I have to do to make that happen? Inevitably, somebody's going to talk to you. During those times that you're doing this, change the time that you're going. So maybe choose a time at lunch or around people's lunch breaks, because there's a good chance a manager is going to be around to relieve an employee who's going on lunch. So the first thing to do is to identify the companies that you want to go for. Don't apply for every job. Don't apply and try to go to every company. Target the ones you want to work at and be specific. When you're talking with somebody, say, I want to work the front desk at this hotel. What do I have to do in order to get the job? Inevitably, as time goes on, you will get hired for a job, because inevitably somebody's going to quit, somebody's going to get fired. 2, go at different times of the day. Go later in the evening, go at lunchtime, go first thing in the morning. Switch it up. Make sure that you're not talking to the same people every day. A key component to finding a job on this level is perseverance and dedication. The people who may decide to hire you, if you just show up once, they're going to say, well, screw that person. I don't really care. It's just another person. But if you show up day after day and say, this is what I want, eventually somebody's going to listen to you. If you want a backdoor approach, if you want to do it the classic networking way, then you want to go to all the activities that you can. Go play pool. Go fishing with people. Join local organizations. Join a church. Join any area within reason, of course, where there are people who hang out and talk. If people socialize, inevitably what will happen is eventually you'll say, yeah, I've been looking for a job in hospitality, but I've been struggling to find an opportunity. And inevitably somebody is going to say, I've got a job for you. But that doesn't happen if you're sitting in your dorm room. You need to get out. You need to talk to people. You need to let people know what you're looking for. If you have more questions, let me know. Send me an email right here at questions@jobforno.com. And as always, choose skills over money. See you again.